Hey guys, how you doing? Walter Montero here from I Love Cambridge. Today's show is with a lady by the name of Bridget Jensen. Bridget owns a company called Better Bedtime. They're basically a sleep coaching company, and not only do they help you with helping get your baby to sleep, they could even help you sleep better as well. Anyway, we talk about a few things. I hope you enjoy the show, and here it is. Okay, yeah. So, like I said, I wish I would have known about this 25 or 30 years ago. That would have been very helpful. I've got two or three grown kids, and my first one, it was quite a challenge for us. The second and the third one, I think we just got to the level where our listening just sort of disappeared, and if they cried, we didn't really pay attention.
Yeah, you grow a thicker skin, right?
That's right. That's right. And then you know what? To be honest with you, the second and third ones were certainly not the challenge that the first one was, but I think it was just, all the coddling that was going on, and they're very clingy and that sort of thing. Anyway, your name is Bridget Jensen,
That's right.
correct? So the name of your company is called Better Bedtime,
Yes.
right? You've got a website, betterbedtime.ca,
Yep.
and you guys help in baby sleep, your baby sleep consultants.
Most of the work we do is with parents of babies and toddlers.
Okay, perfect. So how do you guys do that?
Okay, so we ask a lot of questions up front when a family books with us. They're really just often curious about what does it even mean, because it's still a relatively new profession.
Mhm.
And so we ask a lot of questions about their child, like where they're at developmentally, things like their parenting style. And then we do often work in home most of the time. Obviously, right now we're working virtually, which we always have offered virtual consultations, but now it's all of our business instead of only 20% or so.
Okay, perfect. And what kind of challenges, what do you find the challenges are that people, what's sort of the most obvious in terms of the challenges that people have with helping their baby sleep?
It always boils down to one detail, and it can look in different ways with this, but it always boils down to, like with the families we work with, the parent puts the child into a state of sleep and then carefully lowers them down, or if they're in their bed with them, they ninja out of the room. So the heart of our approach is we ask parents to teach their child to fall asleep on their own, in their own space. And that looks different for everyone, whether the parent's staying in the room or picking them up, or, daddy's here for you, whatever it looks like. But that's the heart of it, because they'll always cycle through sleep, right? Any of us cycle through sleep. We might come to in the night and remember or not. So the idea is children, of course, cycle through sleep as well. And if they are reliant on something outside of their control to put to sleep, they come to the surface of sleep naturally. They don't really know how to dip back in on their own always. So the idea with what we do is, if we change how they fall asleep so they're aware of where they're falling asleep and they're doing it on their own, then in theory, as they get used to that, they'll be able to sleep long stretches.
Okay. So now let me ask you a question about that. With regard to you've made reference to something, cycle their sleep or cycling sleep. What are sleep cycles? If somebody doesn't know that, and I don't know, I know a little bit about it, but almost nothing. What are sleep cycles?
Yeah, so sleep is complex, of course, but we all have sleep cycles that we go through. So you and I as adults are probably about 90 minutes in the night. And throughout that sleep cycle, you would experience different levels of deepness. So you might spend some time in REM sleep, some deeper sleep. The most restorative, healthy sleep is consolidated stretches of sleep. So if you ever have really broken sleep, you might notice that you feel crummier than if you had a solid night's sleep. So for children, their sleep cycles during the day are anywhere from 25-ish minutes to 40. We have a lot of people contact us because their kid is a cat napper, like they can nail it, 32 minutes or whatever it is. And so because sleep cycles are natural and they're never going to stop, if we shift how they fall asleep, sleep, it really helps, because if you imagine that, let's say it's 90 minutes in the night and they come to that lighter sleep at the end of a sleep cycle, they might come to and then be like, where's that help back to sleep? I'm looking for that.
I see. Okay. Now, what about timing? Is it important to have a consistency in putting them to bed at a specific time? Because I know with, like, for example, when I was raising my kids, we were busy people. So we were kind of on the go a lot. So sometimes we would have we'd be, home relatively early, and then there'd be other nights that we wouldn't be. And there wasn't always that consistency in bedtime. Now, I know other people that, 100% of their life revolves around their child's bedtime and nap time, which almost makes the child a burden in terms of, ruling over other parts of their life. What do you say about that?
Honestly, I hear what you're saying. And I think every child's different with how they would take to a late bedtime or missing a nap. Some can be a total nightmare. Others are pretty go with the flow. In our role, we want sleep to be a priority. So to do a good job for you, I would say, yeah, bedtime should be pretty consistent.
Okay.
That said, life goes on. If someone needs to be, at church and they need to miss a nap, or it's Christmas Eve, right? We're not going to rob you of your joys of living life. But the truth is, like, the nature of our work, like, these kids are exhausted, and often there's developmental issues or concerns, or the baby's not crawling yet, or even maybe the baby's doing fine developmentally, but super fussy. Like, parents will know, can I miss a nap or have a late bedtime? Or am I going to have a horrible night? Is that the cost of this? That I'm going to have a terrible night? So they might be very choosy with what you're willing to rock the boat with.
I see. Okay, perfect. Now, how long should a child sleep? I know babies sleep almost all the time, but what is an acceptable length of time that a child should sleep?
Yeah, that's a really good question, Walter. So it depends on their age. There's basically a ballpark of how many hours a person needs dependent on their age. So we work with children as young as about 3.5 months old. So for 3.5 months old, we're looking at, a good 11 to 12 hours through the night with maybe 1 or 2 feedings, depending on their weight. And we'd be looking for 3 good naps. And a good nap to me is 1.5 to 2 hours. A short nap would be 40 minutes. And that changes, like around 6-7 months, they'll drop to 2 naps, still looking for that long night. And then somewhere in the 1 and 1.5 years would drop to 1 nap, but still looking for that lengthy night. And what we see now, I've been getting a lot of messages about this lately, is as years go by and their sleep needs change, they may have a great nap in the afternoon, but now they're staying up till 9:30 playing in their bed or their crib. And so we still bring back that example of everyone needs X hours within 24 hours. If that child is only now needing 12 hours total and they're getting 2 of those hours during the day, then they're not going to need it at night. So you have to ask yourself, what's more important? Do I keep the nap, or do I want an earlier bedtime? And some people choose to have the nap and they want a later bedtime, especially in the summer where they want to be out and about more.
Sure. Okay, perfect. And so if somebody is having challenges with their child, at what point would you recommend, hey, maybe it's time for me to give you guys a call?
To check in with when people should contact us, you're saying?
Yep.
Yeah, so we get a lot of inquiries. There's 3 developmental leaps that happen with babies that tend to show in sleep a lot. And that's at 4 months, 9 months, and 18 months. So we get an influx of calls at those ages. But basically any parent or caregiver who's struggling with sleep, and it can be naps, it can be bedtime, it could be as the evening comes, they have this feeling of angst or, what am I going to get tonight? Should I even go to bed? I don't even know if I should close my eyes. I'm not going to sleep tonight. If it's this worry about sleep, or you can tell nobody's getting enough sleep, anything like that is worth reaching out. We offer free evaluations. Like, you can book with anyone on our team, and it's like a 15-minute call where they can ask all their questions. And then feel out, is it an approach or a philosophy for sleep training that fits with their parenting style? Because if a mommy says to me, my baby has to stay in my bed, I'm going to co-sleep, they're very likely not our client, right? That we want parents who are ready to have their baby, they can stay in their room with them, but we don't encourage co-sleeping because we follow public health rules.
Right.
So we have to, it's kind of a feel out on both ends on what options. And we're really lucky to we have lots of community partnerships with different types of sleep services, or even with the pediatrician to see, is it something bigger? Is there a bigger problem here than just they don't like sleeping in their crib or whatever it might be?
Right. Now, have you ever found that it could be something with relation to what the child is being fed? Is that ever an issue? Okay.
What a smart question, Walter. Yes, it can definitely be related to diet, or if it's a breastfed baby, which a lot of our babies are, what's mommy having? Is the baby allergic to egg and mom's eating eggs, or sensitive to caffeine or chocolate or whatever? So we have to look at diet's a huge player in this, and that's why we do have those strong community partnerships to rule out, is there a food allergy? Is there a problem with baby latching and not getting enough milk or taking in too much air? You know, it could be anything. So that's part of our questions too, are like, what are these other factors? Because to me, we can't confidently follow a sleep plan if there's a problem with the weight gain or an allergy we haven't quite identified yet. So we really have to take a whole picture of all these other factors before diving into sleep training.
I see. Okay. So if somebody was to say, okay, we've got challenges here, we need professional help, we need you guys. First of all, I understand there is an initial consultation that you guys do for free, correct?
Yes.
And then after that, what's involved after that?
So we book within the week. We book really quickly. We have a great team of women who support families. And the next step after that reach out is just to fill out a form. It's like an online evaluation where we ask these questions you and I have been talking about, with the weight, or what do they sit up? Do they crawl? Or, you know, what's going on there, for us to get a whole picture. And then we book a 1-hour appointment, which right now are all done just like Zoom or through a phone call. Normally in our regular work, we go to people's houses and offer this appointment. We even offer staying until the baby falls asleep in this new way, or all night, or even till midnight. So there's a lot of options that people can choose from. It really takes about 2 to 3 weeks. So it's a matter of reaching out. We do that kind of evaluation and have our consultation. We actually really watch the notes that parents give us closely in real time. So a parent, like this morning, for example, I was able to log on and see that a baby I'm working with slept through the night last night without needing to be fed. Like I can see those kind of notes ongoing, which is really cool. So it's really a matter of just visiting betterbedtime.ca to schedule an appointment or reach out or ask any questions. That's definitely the lifeline there.
Okay. And it looks like you guys have a relatively good sized team. So you've got a few people that are consultants, correct?
Yeah, it's been a really cool journey. Actually, it's this month that you and I are chatting is our fifth year in business.
Wow, great. Okay.
So the first couple of years, it was just me, and I was really enjoying it. And a client of mine, actually named Heidi, encouraged me to meet and talk about joining me. And she's been like the best thing to ever happen to my business. And since then, we've added a few more women with different backgrounds. For example, one is a doula. She does helps women in childbirth and postpartum. And then we have a social worker as well, which is really great because some people have benefits for sleep consulting only if it's a social worker. And now we're able to remove that barrier for people. So it's really cool to have all these different backgrounds, and most of us are in Waterloo region. One is in Norfolk County. I don't know if you know Delhi.
Yep.
Yeah, so she lives there. So we're able to cover a little bit more of this area, which is super cool. And then the exciting thing about this too is, now that we have this team in place to support families, I've been the last year and a half or so focusing my efforts on helping workplaces encourage good sleep with their staff, so adult sleep. So that's been really exciting for me. We've been booking them really great through our local college and lots of clinics in the area. But of course, when this whole COVID thing happened, we had to cancel upcoming work in that capacity. But that's certainly where I'm liking to spend more and more of my time these days. Okay.
So I'm going to get to the adult part in a second here. I just want to ask you, what are the credentials required for a sleep consultant? What are your credentials, number one, and how did you get involved in this?
Yeah, that's a good question too. So first you should know that sleep consulting is not regulated, and you could be a sleep consultant tomorrow. You could say, that's it.
Anybody that knows me knows that I could not be a sleep consultant.
Yeah, so anyone technically could be. There is a professional association that you have to jump through quite a few hoops and have a program behind you to be a member of, which we are. And so for myself, I went to a program in Florida, Sarasota, Florida, 5 years ago, and it was a 3-month course. Only the first week was in person, the rest was online and through calls, where we learn the ropes of like, how do you actually help a baby sleep better? How do you help twins sleep better? All the ins and outs of that. What I wasn't really prepared for, because I'm not a business person, I wouldn't call myself a business person, is how to run a business. So I really leaned on local, like the Chamber of Commerce, and lots of, my husband's an accountant, which was extremely helpful. Lean on people in my life to help me, because I just want to help families with their sleep, but how do you do books, and how do you do, make up the name and all these things. So I leaned on help and asked quite a bit. Everyone from my team has different kind of backgrounds as well, and we participate in continuing education. So there's infant mental health at Sick Kids. We're about to start a new course right now, all of us, just keeping up to date, because it's still like kind of unknown, the sleep world, and it's new info coming out all the time.
Yeah, it sure is. Like, it's funny. I've been in the real estate and mortgage space for 33 years, and it's always been a little bit of a badge of honor to, be the first guy at the office and the last guy to leave, and run on virtually no sleep, where, now we're all coming to the discovery that how important sleep is. You've got famous people like Ariana Huffington talking about how important sleep is. And I'm in my 50s. So when I talk to my friends and colleagues, everybody seems to have some sort of challenge with sleeping. So how can you help adults with the sleeping problem?
Yeah, you're right. It really is a shift in attitude about, like, you sleep when you're dead. If you're successful, you're just going to work, and you'll get what little sleep you need. And now the conversation's been changing the last few years. And I think Ariana Huffington was a key player in that, because she was one of those people who said, like, oh, you only need, 5 hours or whatever it is. So I think making sleep a priority and treating it just as important as your overall well-being. Like, we need to sleep, and looking just simply at the facts that the average adult needs 7.5, maybe 8 hours of sleep a night, and choosing sleep over that extra episode or that extra scrolling or that extra file you might review for work or whatever it is. So making an active effort. I would say the one key piece, and we really try to hit this home in our workplace sleep sessions, that can have a big impact, is based on the feedback we get from our one-on-one adult clients, which is they can't shut their brain off. So they might lay down and they're spinning, or they wake up in the night and their wheels are spinning. And so what we ask people to do is start to, during the day, incorporate short daily pauses, so they can just look away from their work and just try to be calm, maybe a bit of meditation even, or there's lots of breathing exercises you can do to try to process what's been happening during your day, so that you take a load off the night.
Right.
If you picture that, a lot of people have these days where they are one thing to the next, busy, running, it's just wild. By the time they're laying in bed, it's the only time all day that they've not had something in front of them. And they finally can start thinking, like, I don't like how that conversation went with my colleague today, or, man, I'm really annoyed about this thing I saw, whatever it is. And then that starts. So if you can start to bring some of that into your day for you to process, and I'm a big fan of literally pencil, paper, making lists and unloading it. It takes practice, though, like anything.
Okay. And what about like certain habits when somebody goes to bed? Like maybe, having a television in the room, or in today's day and age, going to bed with the iPhone or an iPad, or even reading a book. Are any of those things recommended or not recommended?
Certainly. So even reading on a Kindle or a device that has settings that can protect your eyes from viewing all this blue light are great. You can certainly read before bed. You nailed it perfectly. With bringing a smartphone to bed is a huge problem, not only because the light is super distracting, but what content are you viewing? Is it making you happy, sad, excited? Yeah. Whatever that might be. And the comeback we often hear is, well, it's my alarm clock. And we're kind of fans of, you don't have to spend money on all these gadgets to sleep well. But the only exception for adults is get an alarm clock, like buy a That's right. They're next to something, put it across your room, like, or, whatever it is, and leave the phone out. And it's such a hard habit. And we get a lot of kickback. People will be like, okay, what else though? Like, what else can I do?
Yeah,
No,
that can't be it.
that's not it. Is it get it out of your room and get the TV out of your room, because it's not doing you any favor. Or turn the TV off an hour before bed if you can't take it.
Yeah. Okay, good. Now, the one thing that I noticed when I participated in Dry February this year, and I got to tell you that I noticed my sleep habits, or I should say my quality of sleep, greatly improved during that time. So what's your take on alcohol's effect on sleeping?
So the general sorry, go ahead.
Gotcha. Go.
The general discussion around alcohol and sleep is like, you shouldn't, especially shouldn't use it you shouldn't use
You're
it.
a real bearer of bad news.
I am. I know people don't always love to hear that.
Yeah. The phone and booze. Like, I mean, I'm not going to call her. No way.
I know. You're right. I know it's not fun. There's a time and a place for it, but we try to say avoid drinking for sleep. Like people who I drink to sleep, where they take melatonin, like a hormone, to help them sleep. So we try to get away from all that so you can make some natural changes.
Sure.
It's interesting that you notice a difference not drinking, and that's really fascinating to me. And people say that with alcohol, but also what they're eating before bed, or not eating before bed, because that can play a big role in how you sleep as well.
Yeah, I've never had a problem falling asleep. I can fall asleep relatively quickly. It's always been staying asleep. And then once I get up through the night, or should I say wake up through the night, it can be challenging sometimes to get back to sleep. And I notice when there's less alcohol present, then obviously it greatly improves the situation.
Isn't that interesting? And that's your firsthand experience with it.
Yes.
Getting up in the night for a lot of reasons is normal. So waking up to use the washroom, maybe your cat knocks something over, or you have a kid who needs you. You have to get up sometimes. So we always say keep the light as dim as possible. If you're someone who has to use the bathroom in the night, have a dim lit pathway or like a night light in the bathroom, so you're not turning on all lights to essentially wake yourself up. Or little things that you can do, and deep breathing, curling your toes.
Yeah.
Well, deep breathing is helpful as well.
Okay. Now you do some. You had mentioned that you were doing some workshops for I guess workplaces. Tell us a little bit about that, and what part of your business is made up of adult sleep consulting as opposed to baby sleep consulting.
Yeah. Okay. Great question. So the adult sleep consulting is almost all group workshops.
Okay.
So the baby side, we are almost entirely working one-on-one. We do offer free sleep clinics at Goodness Me grocery stores and other clinics in which are a great way for people to feel us out, or even just to come get a bit of advice if they don't need a full consultation, which is fine. But the adult side is really cool as organizations are making their employee wellness a priority. Maybe they have an employee engagement strategy or some kind of mental health initiative at work. They invite us in. It's really an engaging session. It can be anywhere from 60 to 90 minutes, and it's just really informative discussion. Usually it's a lunch and learn type thing where we talk about like what is limiting your sleep, and we go about taking the whole approach of, is it how I'm managing my stress, is it the alcohol, is it how much coffee I'm having at 9 p.m. We look at all these pieces, and then we actually have several breaks through the session for people to individually reflect on like, what is limiting my sleep, like what can I do. And I don't ask people to share unless they want to. It's very private, like intimate information, but the idea is that every person sitting there can leave thinking, I know at least a couple things that I can start working on now for my sleep.
Good. Awesome. Very good. Well, this is a great topic. I mean, it's certainly come of age, that's for sure. I was reading an article a couple of days ago where this whole COVID-19 situation, I think some of the data companies have been monitoring like your Fitbits and that sort of thing, and they've noticed that people are sleeping 20% more during this whole COVID crisis. So it probably explains why so many more people are in such a good mood.
Yeah, right. We all are when we sleep when we sleep well. I guess, yeah, if you're home and you can go to sleep earlier, you have nothing else to do, right? Might as well.
Yeah, for sure. Awesome. So how can people get a hold of you? You obviously have a website, betterbedtime.ca.
Yes, they are welcome to visit our website. We're on, the social media platforms as well. But just reaching out directly, I think, through the website. You can also look at, there's some tips there on how to transition from crib to bed, for example, or switching your naps and things like that. Lots of free resources. But really, we're here to help. All of us are mothers, and we totally get how draining it is, especially in this season we are in right now. It's a lot, and people are recognizing the opportunity to sleep train right now because they're home, and we want bedtime to look the same and for kids to be able to have that consistency around where they're sleeping. Now's actually a great time if you can, because you're home anyway. The days are going to go by anyway, right?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah, if you're going to learn a skill, sleeping's probably a good one.
I couldn't agree more. Wonderful skill.
For sure, for sure. Bridget, thanks so much for your time. Like I said, when I saw you, when I saw that Kyla booked us to speak today, I thought it was really important, for sure. I think you're in a great business, and I wish you all the best. And I hope that you get some success from our audience as well.
Thank you. I'm really excited. I love your career. I feel like I would totally have done something like that. I love looking at homes, and we just moved. I've now lived in all 3 of the Cambridge areas.
Oh, good. Okay.
I'm not.
Any favorite?
I'm afraid to say because people are very passionate. It's a very hot topic here. I'm not from Cambridge originally.
Okay, I was just about to ask you that.
Yeah, I'm from Tillsonburg, so not too
okay.
far. And I moved up here for school. My husband's from Preston. So
okay, yeah.
We're in Preston for a little stint at the beginning, and we were in Hespeler for 7 years, and we've just moved downtown 6 months ago.
Oh, terrific. Very good. Very good. Yeah, I always get a kick out of people that move in from out of town because they move to Cambridge, and then, you follow up with them like maybe a month or 2 or 3 months later, and you say, hey, what do you think of Cambridge so far? And they said, we never realized the dynamics of Galt, Preston, and Hespeler. And it is quite funny to hear, especially people that have moved from away, come in and give us their sort of Cole's notes on the whole thing. It's, a lot of it is just old rivalries more than anything else, but they're all done with love. That's for sure.
Yeah, you're right. I think it is done in that way. And I think each area is amazing for their own reasons. I would live in them again 100%. I think each of them brings their uniqueness to.
They're characteristic.
Yeah, I think they're all really great. So
yeah, it sounds like somebody from Preston. Anyway, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it. We'll give you the heads up when the show's going on. And again, thanks again for your time.
Thank you, Walter. Thank you so much. You take care.